The sight of Karen being led away in handcuffs, her tiny dog whimpering and leaving a puddle of indignation on her discarded tote bag, was surreal. It felt like a bizarre movie scene unfolding in the mundane reality of my usually quiet street. The flashing lights of the squad car reflected off the windows of the duplex, painting the scene in an unsettling kaleidoscope of red and blue. Once the patrol car pulled away, leaving a silence punctuated only by the chirping of crickets, a wave of exhaustion washed over me. The adrenaline that had coursed through my veins during the entire debacle quickly dissipated, leaving me feeling drained and emotionally raw. The officers, clearly exasperated by the morning's events, lingered to apologize. The younger one, visibly embarrassed for having even momentarily considered Karen's outlandish accusations, offered a sheepish grin. He admitted he had never encountered anyone so brazenly committed to their own manufactured narrative. His partner, a seasoned veteran with a weary look in his eyes, shook his head, muttering about the increasing absurdity of modern life and the proliferation of online echo chambers. They advised me to document everything, to screenshot the online posts, and preserve any evidence that might be relevant in the future. They even gave me their card, should any further issues arise, which made me feel a little more secure. As I retreated into my duplex, the weight of the situation began to sink in. This wasn't just some neighborly dispute gone awry. It was a deliberate attempt to ruin my life. Karen had not only faked an injury, but she had also weaponized social media, preying on prejudices and fueling a narrative designed to paint me as a villain. The casual way she had thrown around accusations of racial bias was particularly galling, a calculated move to amplify her lies and garner sympathy. The thought that she might have succeeded, that my reputation and even my safety could have been jeopardized by her twisted game, filled me with a cold fury. I needed to process everything, gather my thoughts, and figure out how to protect myself from any potential fallout. I started by following the officer's advice, diligently documenting everything I could find online related to Karen's accusations. I took screenshots of her fabricated stories, her inflammatory posts, and the initial reactions from online users who had initially believed her lies. It was a grim task, sifting through the digital debris of her deception, but it felt necessary, a proactive step in reclaiming control of the narrative. The speed with which the internet turned on Karen was astonishing. Once the security footage became public, the tide shifted dramatically. Her accusatory video, once brimming with indignation and fake tears, became a source of ridicule and outrage. The comments section, previously filled with sympathetic voices, now overflowed with accusations of fraud, manipulation, and blatant racism. People dissected the video frame by frame, highlighting her clumsy attempt to stage the fall and her barely concealed smirks. Memes mocking her performance began to proliferate, transforming her into a symbol of entitled delusion and performative victimhood. The online community, fueled by righteous anger and a thirst for justice, dug up her previous misdeeds, exposing her history of fraudulent claims and petty scams. It was a digital pile-on of epic proportions, a stark reminder of the internet's ability to both amplify lies and expose the truth. While a part of me felt a sense of vindication watching her carefully constructed facade crumble, another part of me felt uneasy. The internet's capacity for outrage could be a fickle beast, and I knew that even as she was being vilified, there was a risk of the situation spiraling out of control, of online harassment crossing the line into genuine threats. I had to tread carefully, ensuring that my own actions remained above reproach. The impact of Karen's downfall extended beyond the digital realm. Word of the incident spread like wildfire through our quiet neighborhood. The older residents, usually reserved and polite, now greeted me with knowing glances and sympathetic nods. The incident had shattered the illusion of tranquility, revealing the undercurrents of prejudice and paranoia that had been simmering beneath the surface. Some neighbors even left small gifts on my doorstep: a bouquet of flowers, a box of chocolates, a handwritten note expressing their support and disgust at Karen's actions. While the outpouring of support was heartwarming, it also served as a stark reminder of the precariousness of social harmony. Karen's actions had exposed the vulnerabilities of our community, the ease with which trust could be eroded by lies and manipulation. I knew that rebuilding that trust would take time and effort, and that it would require more than just Karen's departure to heal the wounds she had inflicted. I wondered if that was something I should actively engage in or let time and fate handle it. My landlord, Mr. Henderson, a kindly older gentleman who lived a few streets over, was understandably furious. He arrived at the duplex the following morning, his face etched with concern and a distinct disapproval. He apologized profusely for the trouble Karen had caused, explaining that he had run a background check before renting to her, but her previous offenses in the other county somehow didn't flag. He confessed he was horrified to learn about her history of fraud and her attempts to manipulate the online community. Mr. Henderson assured me that he was taking immediate steps to evict Karen, if that was even necessary given her new residence was now the county jail, and that he would be pursuing legal action against her for damages to his property and for the emotional distress she had caused to his tenants. He also offered to increase the security measures around the duplex, suggesting additional cameras and improved lighting. It was a thoughtful gesture, but I politely declined, explaining that the existing camera had already proven its worth and that I didn't want to create an atmosphere of paranoia. Following my conversation with Mr. Henderson, I decided to consult with a lawyer myself. While Karen was now facing criminal charges, I wanted to explore my options for pursuing civil action against her for defamation and emotional distress. I found a local attorney who specialized in online harassment and reputation management. During our initial consultation, he explained the complexities of suing someone for online behavior, emphasizing the importance of proving that her actions had caused tangible harm to my reputation and career. He reviewed the evidence I had collected, including the screenshots of her online posts and the media coverage of her arrest. He agreed that I had a strong case, but cautioned me against getting caught up in a protracted legal battle. He advised me to focus on mitigating the damage to my reputation and to consider settling out of court if possible. The thought of reliving the entire ordeal in a courtroom filled me with dread. I just wanted to put the whole thing behind me and move on with my life. But I also knew that I couldn't let Karen get away with what she had done. Her actions had been malicious and premeditated, and I felt a responsibility to hold her accountable for the harm she had caused. The most immediate and tangible impact of the Karen incident was on my work. As a remote employee, my professional life was heavily reliant on my online reputation. The negative attention generated by Karen's false accusations had a chilling effect. My clients became hesitant to entrust me with sensitive projects, and my professional contacts started to distance themselves. I could feel the trust I had painstakingly built over the years eroding under the weight of suspicion and doubt. I had to be proactive in damage control. I reached out to my clients and explained the situation, providing them with the evidence that exonerated me and highlighting Karen's history of fraudulent behavior. Some were understanding and supportive, while others remained skeptical. The uncertainty surrounding my work added to the already considerable stress I was experiencing. I found myself constantly checking online forums and social media platforms, obsessively monitoring the conversation surrounding the incident. The fear that Karen's lies would resurface and haunt me indefinitely became a constant companion. The emotional toll of the entire experience was immense. I struggled with anxiety, insomnia, and a pervasive sense of unease. The quiet solitude that I had once cherished now felt isolating and oppressive. I found myself constantly replaying the events of that fateful Saturday, wondering if I could have done anything differently to prevent the situation from escalating. The realization that I had been targeted simply because of my race and my perceived status as an outsider was deeply unsettling. It forced me to confront the uncomfortable realities of prejudice and discrimination that I had previously been able to avoid. I knew that I needed to prioritize my mental health. I started seeing a therapist who specialized in trauma and anxiety. She helped me process my emotions, develop coping mechanisms, and regain a sense of control over my life. She encouraged me to disconnect from social media, to focus on self-care, and to surround myself with supportive friends and family. She also helped me reframe the experience, reminding me that I was not a victim but a survivor, and that Karen's actions were a reflection of her own insecurities and prejudices, not a reflection of my worth as a person. The dust slowly began to settle. Karen's online presence effectively disappeared, her accounts suspended or deleted in the wake of the public backlash. The memes mocking her faded from the internet's attention span, replaced by the latest viral sensation. The criminal proceedings against her continued, though I made a conscious effort to distance myself from the details, knowing that dwelling on them would only prolong the emotional trauma. I took my lawyer's advice and agreed to a settlement out of court. receiving a modest sum in compensation for the damage to my reputation and the emotional distress I had suffered. More importantly, the settlement included a non-disclosure agreement, preventing Karen from ever publicly discussing the incident again. I focused on rebuilding my professional life. I reached out to former clients, showcasing my continued expertise and highlighting the positive reviews that had been overshadowed by Karen's lies. Slowly but surely, trust began to be restored, and new opportunities started to emerge. I also made a conscious effort to engage more actively in my local community. I volunteered at a local charity, attended neighborhood meetings, and sought out opportunities to connect with people in a meaningful way. I wanted to demonstrate that I was not the thuggish outsider Karen had portrayed me to be, but a responsible and engaged member of the community. One unexpected outcome of the ordeal was a burgeoning interest in advocacy. I started speaking out against online harassment and the weaponization of social media, sharing my experiences and offering advice to others who had been similarly victimized. I joined an online support group for victims of defamation, providing a safe space for people to share their stories and connect with others who understood their struggles. I even started writing a blog about the importance of online safety and the need for greater accountability on social media platforms. It was a way to turn a negative experience into something positive, to use my voice to advocate for change and empower others. Even as life returned to a semblance of normalcy, the shadow of the Karen incident lingered. There were moments when I would catch myself glancing nervously at strangers, wondering if they recognized me from the online coverage. There were times when I would hesitate to share my opinions online, fearing that my words would be misinterpreted or used against me. The sense of security and privacy that I had once taken for granted had been irrevocably shattered. I realized that healing was not a linear process. There would be good days and bad days, moments of triumph and moments of doubt. But I also knew that I was stronger than I thought, and that I had the resilience to overcome even the most challenging obstacles. The experience had forced me to confront my own vulnerabilities, to develop a deeper understanding of myself, and to appreciate the importance of community and connection. I no longer took my solitude for granted. I made a conscious effort to cultivate meaningful relationships, to surround myself with people who valued and supported me. One afternoon, while walking back from the mailbox, I noticed a new family moving into Unit B. A young couple with a toddler in tow, unloading boxes from a rental truck. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to approach them. I introduced myself, offering to help them carry some of the heavier items. They seemed surprised but grateful, accepting my offer with a warm smile. As we chatted and carried boxes, I couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. A new chapter was beginning, not just for them, but for me as well. The ghosts of the past might still linger, but they no longer held the power to define my future. I was finally ready to close the book on Karen and embrace the possibilities that lay ahead, to reclaim my peace, and to build a life that was not defined by fear or resentment, but by resilience, compassion, and a renewed appreciation for the simple joys of human connection.